When you have a disabled loved one, setting up a special needs trust is a great first step, but that trust is only as strong as the person managing it. Choose the wrong trustee and even the best drafted trust can fall apart. In this video, I'm going to talk you through how to build real lasting protection for a disabled loved one. From choosing the right trustee to building an oversight, care coordination, and accountability mechanisms that most people don't think about. And if you want more practical tips like this, sign up for our newsletter. We share real-world strategies that help families feel confident about the future. So let me start with a real-life horror story of mismanagement of a special needs trust and what can happen if you don't build in oversight. So I worked on a case where a parent died and they left 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter. One son was disabled and the other son was named as trustee of the disabled son's special needs trust. Well, the son who was acting as trustee, turns out he had many expenses of his own. He had 2 children who were about to go to college and he needed money for that. And he had other living expenses to take care of. So guess what he did? He took money out of that special needs trust and he wrote promissory notes saying that he promises to pay back that special needs trust for the money he took out, except he had no way to pay it back. And he ended up with spending most of the money down. This is how he reasoned it to himself. He figured that his brother didn't need this money because his brother was in a group home where most of his needs were taken care of. But here's the thing. What if his brother was released from the group home? What if there were other needs to be taken care of? This was a horrible, horrible situation. So how did this get resolved? Well, the brother was caught because the sister stepped in and ultimately she had to bring a petition in court against the trustee brother. She had to do this to get the money back for her disabled brother. Oh my goodness, it was a mess. So how do you avoid this type of situation? That's what we're talking about in this video. Let's dive in. So first, you need to choose the right trustee. You can have a beautifully drafted trust, but if you choose the wrong trustee, it can be a mess. So what should you be looking for? Well, look for someone who has experience, also who has a good reputation, and whose values reflect your own values. You can choose a family member or a friend, but I usually recommend choosing a professional to manage special needs trusts. It's just more work, more time consuming than managing, say, a regular revocable trust. Now, if you choose an individual, make sure that there's somebody who's substantially younger than you. We want someone who's going to be around for a while. I have a video called Who to Choose as Successor Trustee. I suggest that you watch that. And then I also have a video called Trustee Roles and Responsibilities, where I talk about all the things that a trustee of a special needs trust needs to do during that beneficiary's lifetime. It's a lot. That's one reason why I often recommend naming a professional as successor trustee. So next, make sure that trustee succession is built into the trust so you don't have to go to court if there's a vacancy in the trusteeship. I mean, the first successor trustee you name might be great, but then maybe they need to resign or they die suddenly, and then there's a hole. Who's going to act as successor trustee after that wonderful person? We need somebody around to name them. So you can give a family member or friend the power just to do that, just to name a successor trustee if needed. They don't need to have any other role. Or I'm going to describe later in this video the trust protector. You can have a trust protector who could name a successor trustee and has a few other responsibilities too.
Did you know my mom has a monthly newsletter where she shares helpful information? Click below to join.
Next, I suggest that you set up a care coordinator. So this is typically a company that can provide care services to your disabled loved one, or at least have them lined up for the future if you're currently providing those care services and you want to continue to do so, but you're thinking through who's going to do that when I'm gone. Because in many cases, you'll need somebody who can look after the beneficiary's personal care and hygiene, not just their financial management. This could be the person who runs the group home where the beneficiary lives, if they're in such a group home. Or it could be an outside person coming into the home at regular intervals. Now the trustee, I guess they can do it, but it's really not cost effective. They're usually billing out at a higher rate than a care manager. And also, a lot of times care management is not in the trustee's wheelhouse. Some people are better at money management than personal care, and vice versa. You want to capitalize on people's strengths and not ask them to act in areas that they might be weaker in. For example, I make a much better lawyer than I would a medical professional. I don't like dealing with bodily fluids and hospitals. I'm much happier on one side of a clean desk and my clients on the other side of the clean desk, and I'm helping them to find solutions to their problems and listening to them. That's what makes me happy. Let's play to our strengths. Okay, so next with a special needs trust, I usually recommend that you build in some oversight. What does this mean? Well, the California Probate Code presumes that the beneficiary is the one who's overseeing the management of the trust. And the code provides ways that the beneficiary can contest how things are being run, managed, distributed, that sort of thing. But when you're dealing with a special needs trust, the beneficiary usually doesn't have the capacity or the knowledge to oversee those types of things and know when to speak up when something's not being managed properly. So it's good to choose someone else who can do this oversight. And what would they do? Well, typically they would get yearly accountings, which they can review, make sure that money is being spent properly. They could access the books, see how money is being managed, and they could remove and replace the trustee if the trustee isn't doing a good job. And none of this needs to go through the court process. I like reminding people I may be an attorney, but I hate going to court. So we want to build in as much as we can without having to bring a court petition, spend, expensive court filing fees, everything's public. Let's just avoid that when we can. All right, so who would be a choice for this overseer role? Well, this is called a trust protector. This is the person whose role is to oversee the trustee. We often include this when a professional is acting as trustee, but the family doesn't know that professional very well, and they're worried that the professional might not do a great job. So the trust protector can protect the beneficiary's interests just like the parents might have had they been alive. I have a video called Trustees versus Trust Protectors, and I suggest you watch that for more information on that role of trust protector. Now, another way to provide some oversight and input is an advisory committee. This is a group of trusted adults who can meet together and discuss the beneficiary's needs and come up with some plans for ways that they think the trustee should manage and distribute the funds. Ultimately, it's the trustee who makes the final decision, but the advisory committee is there to advise the trustee on how to make those decisions. This can be a good approach when you have several trusted family members or other adults who want to be involved in your child's life, but at a lesser extent. Now, one drawback of the advisory committee approach is it can be pretty unwieldy to get all the people together to meet. It can get kind of expensive, can draw out the process. So I haven't seen very many special needs trusts nowadays that are drafted with advisory committee terms in there, but it is something you can build in. Finally, I always suggest that you write out a memo of intent. This spells out your intent clearly for the special needs trust, how you want the trustee to manage the money, how you want the money to be distributed, who you want the beneficiary to interact with. You can spell out everything, and it's a brain dump to the trustee of how you want things managed. Now, I have a video on memos of intent, and I suggest that you watch that. So when you're caring for someone with a disability, peace of mind comes from knowing that you've built a great team around them and safety nets to catch them if they should fall. If you want to explore more on this topic, check out our videos on trust protectors and choosing a successor trustee. And if you're ready to create an estate plan that fully protects your loved one, click below to schedule a consultation. We're here to help.
If this video is helpful for you, share it to someone else who might benefit from it.